Hey everyone, welcome to Shooting Complex, where today I'm going to be talking about FAST, which is a new competitive shooting format by Sinistral Rifleman, and I had the opportunity to shoot its first event at Echo Valley Training Center in West Virginia. Now, FAST stands for Firearms Action Shooting Trial, and it's a two-gun match format that is a blend of shooting with a little bit of physicality, and I had a ton of fun at this event. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about the rules and the divisions, you can check out the link below in the description. The division that I competed in for this event was called Minuteman, and it was very forward-thinking. One of the things that I really like about FAST is that there's no division bloat. It's all very modern and streamlined. For Minuteman, the only real limits are just 30-round mags for your rifle and 21-round mags for your pistol. Optics, compensators, all that good stuff is allowed to go. I used an LPVO for this event, and I competed with my IC-13 invert bandolier and my KE arms lower, which I really like both of those things, and I'll be doing a review of here shortly. But let's get a look at some of the shooting footage for this. This was a high round count match with approximately 400 rifle and 400 pistol rounds, which I loved. Because if I'm traveling and spending a lot of money, I want a high round count match or something that's going to provide a unique challenge, which FAST does both of. Oftentimes you had no choice but to go to a bolt or slide lock reload due to the high round count. If you decided to make a reload into a position, there would be a high chance that leaving ammunition behind, like a half or a quarter loaded magazine, would result in running out of ammunition later. Because you can only carry so many magazines, and with stage design that dictates multiple positions, with each requiring a high amount of rounds expended, you really didn't have any other choice but to go to slide or bolt lock reload. Now, does the high round count mean that this was a hoser match? If you don't know what that means, it just means a match that is a lot of really easy targets that you just dump rounds into, but that wasn't the case here. Russell did a very good job of balancing the shooting and athletic challenges across all the stages. There wasn't a single stage at this event that I disliked. Honestly, they were all just good, solid stages. What kind of stages can you expect to find? At a fast match, they're linear. This means that there is a dictated procedure on how to shoot each stage according to the written stage brief. There's very little freedom that you have the stage plan because of this. Oftentimes you'll have some choice in the order of which you'll engage a designated array of targets at certain predetermined spots. However, everybody shoots the stage more or less the same way. I do enjoy how FAST does approach this type of shooting because it's not like an IDPA where there is a choreographed stage plan that's also encumbered by rules such as tactical priority or not being allowed to drop loaded mags. It's not like in USPSA or PCSL where you're presented a stage and the burden of stage planning is entirely on you. If you enjoy that aspect of those shooting sports, then this core element of FAST you may not enjoy. Here's an example of shooting that you'll encounter at a FAST match. We're going to take a look at Stage 7, which was personally one of my favorite stages from this event. I really enjoyed it because it was just pure, straightforward shooting from multiple positions. The rifle targets were at solid distances, and I liked that it incorporated some positional pistol shooting at the last spot that you had to shoot. So let's take a look. I'm going to read you guys the written stage brief. At the buzzer, you're going to move to position 1 and hit 2 targets outside the bay with 1 hit each. That's at the barrel. Then move to the VTAC, and from 4 ports, engage the 4 targets inside the bay and the 2 outside the bay with 1 hit each, and those outside targets are about at 200 yards. Then you'll move to the pipe, and from inside the pipe, you'll hit 4 targets inside the bay with 1 hit each, and then from over the pipe, hit 2 targets outside the bay. Then you'll move to the shooting bench and hit all 6 targets. Drop the magazine and fire a clearing shot on the rightmost target outlined in red. Place the rifle on the shooting bench, pointed to the right berm. Shooter will then go through the tunnel to the pistol engagement area. From each pistol engagement area, the shooter will hit the 4 targets once each from positions 5 and 6. The left 2 targets will be shot from the left side of the barrels, and the right targets will be shot from the right side of the barrels. Then you'll proceed to the middle and shoot 4 targets above the wooden beam, then go beneath the wooden beam and shoot those same 4 targets, and the stage will be over. At this point in the match, my gun had gotten so dirty in conjunction with the fact that it is lightly sprung and I'm using a compensator. There wasn't enough energy left to cycle the slide properly and power through all that dirt, so that's why I had so much malfunctions. I ended up switching to my Glock 34, and I did not have a single problem for the rest of the day. Stage 6 was another favorite of mine. It was the Sinistral Skill Check. As the name implies, it is a good test for how well you could potentially do in one of these matches. It involved spinning 2 spinners with your rifle at 100 yards, then off of a VTAC barricade at 50, spinning them again with your handgun at close range, then running all the way back to 100 yards to spin the 2 spinners again with your rifle. A really cool aspect of this stage was that you could get time knocked off your final score by landing hits on a sheet of paper at 25 yards with a KE Arms machine gun that was kitted out with all of the unrivaled goodies. It made for a very fun, flat shooting full auto experience. I'm not somebody that gets to shoot full auto very often, and I'd imagine a lot of the people listening to this video now probably don't either. So when KE Arms and Unrivaled bring out a machine gun that's kitted out with all the awesome race rifle equipment that they make, it was awesome. And so my hat's off to both KE and Unrivaled for doing that. It's just a nice touch that you do not get at a lot of matches. So when you get to do it, it's pretty cool. Stages 1 through 4 were all more athletic, with their challenges taking advantage of the unique bays that they were put in. Stage 1 featured running, maneuvering over tank traps, and positional shooting out to 400 yards. Stage 2 was a multi-base stage with simple, straightforward shooting. However, I did poor on this stage because my cutie sling popped out of my socket, and I wasted a ton of time trying to get it back in. Stage 3 was in a trench where you had to run along the trench clearing it, and then shooting clay and steel targets going back and forth between these. And if you're familiar with the designated target drill, that's essentially what we did, and if you're good at that, you would have done well at this. Stage 4 was another multi-base stage that was pistol only, and it was nice to shoot another really cool stage prop, which was a KE Arms machine gun with the Manticore Arms Ripley rail installed. You had to shoot up to 4 steel targets for a chance to reduce your stage time in only 1 mag. After that, you shot at 4 steel targets from 4 positions, ran uphill to another bay, and then cleared a Texas Star, a spinner, then moving into the final position, which was a car door where you had to engage a Y spinner and then an equal weighted spinner. If you've never engaged one of those before, it's unique because you only need a few shots to get it to spin a complete revolution, and it spins very slowly. Stage 5 was a rifle-only stage, and it made good usage of the distances, requiring competitors to shoot targets from 100 to 600 yards off the barricades. In between each barricade, you had to engage the 600-yard target with 1 shot, and it was tough. You need the chrono data in order to make the hits, and you need to know your holds. And an LPVO is absolutely beneficial at a match like this. One thing that I loved that Fast West Virginia did was a shoot-off. Now, this isn't a stage, but shoot-offs are always one of my favorite things at matches that just really give them a fun touch to concluding a big event like this. If you don't know what a shoot-off is, it's where shooters go head-to-head to see who can clear a challenge the fastest and most accurately, and oftentimes this is amongst the top competitors. At this event, you had to assemble a 3-man team, and whichever group that spun all 6 rifle spinners the fastest at 100 yards would win. The rules were that each person in your team had to pick a position on the 100-yard line, no movement was allowed, and there was only 1 .308 or other full rifle caliber weapon allowed. And my team ended up doing decently. Afterwards, Russell used the KE Arms Unrivaled machine gun on full auto, of course, to spin all the spinners, which was a fun thing to watch. At the end of the shooting, there was a prize table, and it was awesome. This is something that I have noticed is severely lacking at many USPSA major matches, despite having sponsors out the ass. X-Tac Tactical was the title sponsor, making sure everybody got a goodie bag. Thunder Beast had suppressors on the table. IC-13 provided staff with invert bandoliers, and some were on the prize table as well. Unrivaled made a donation, a lot of donations actually. RS Regulate provided items, and I won one of their 1913 rails for an AK. And a lot more. You can see a complete list of sponsors in the video description below. Now, many people, myself included, don't shoot for the extrinsic rewards, but it's always really nice to have a great prize table like what was provided here at this event. I enjoyed this match, and I plan on competing in more in the future. If you shot this match, share your experiences in the comment section, or let me know if you have a question. Thanks everybody for watching, and stay tuned in the future for a full review on the IC-13 invert bandolier and the KE Arms lower that I used at this event. Thanks again.